Welcome again to the Old Principle. I am the Old Principle, and this will be lesson number 158. Shoplifter. Here's a sign, probably from America because it's in English, maybe, or from England. Shoplifters will be prosecuted. Okay, we'll come back to that in just a little while, but this is number 158, shoplifter. What is shoplifting? Shoplifting is 商店扒手. Okay, with that, we're going to listen to the story. Stand by.
Number 158, Shoplifter. The 29th Street Market was about 10 minutes by bicycle from our house. It was a small business owned by Mr. Grant. He supplied everybody in the community with meat and groceries. These days, neighborhood markets are few and far between because supermarkets can offer more items at greater savings. I often rode my bicycle to the 29th Street Market to buy things for my parents, but I gave Dad the groceries, the sales slip, and the change. I had no way to siphon off money with which to buy candy for myself. Since I had little money myself, I could only drool when I passed the candy section. One day, the urge to steal candy outweighed the risks of getting caught. So I visited the market. I had little money in my pocket, but I carried a book in my hand. Mr. Grant stood at the cash register as I went to the candy section. I waited a long time trying to get up the nerve to hide some in my book. I decided to buy some so Mr. Grant wouldn't think I was stealing candy. With wildly racing heart, I approached the cash register to pay for the candy in my hand. But Mr. Grant growled, "Sonny, what's in your book?" With shaking hands, I opened the book to reveal the stolen candy. I was devastated. I didn't hear much of Mr. Grant's solemn reprimand. I only thought about the embarrassment and the disgrace of the situation. Another concern was the possibility that Mr. Grant might tell my father. To this day, I don't know whether he did or not. I didn't have a mother to tell my troubles to, so I went across the street and told my Aunt Martha. Many tears were shed. She was a very kind woman and listened patiently. Finally, she advised me that the pain and disgrace would pass away. True, the pain diminished, but the experience was never forgotten. I never again considered shoplifting.
Okay, now we've heard the story, you suddenly realize that this is my story from one period in my life when I was quite young. So, to begin with, we're going to talk about the 29th Street Market. The 29th Street Market was about 10 minutes by bicycle from our house. It was a small business owned by Mr. Grant. 29th Street Market, 第29街的商店啊。About 10 minutes by bicycle. When I say 10 minutes by bicycle, I mean that I was riding my bicycle, and it took from my house to the 29th Street Market took how much did it say? It said 10 minutes by bicycle from our house. It was a small business, 这个小小的这个商店 owned by 那个主人 is Mr. Grant. In fact, occasionally we even called it the Grant Market, or Mr. Grant's Market. Okay, the 29th Street Market, or Mr. Grant's Market going on. He supplied everybody in the community with meat and groceries. Okay, 他供应提供. Okay, everybody in the community. Community, of course, is 社区. So he gave everybody two things, and I need to explain. One is meat, 肉. Okay, 羊肉、牛肉、猪肉、鱼肉等等等. So he had a meat section there. But interestingly, he had groceries. Now, if you look in the dictionary, groceries may be listed as 杂货. But in America, groceries is only, well, it's primarily food and a few other things, 清洁家里用的用品等等. Okay, so groceries. In fact, we often say grocery store. Grocery store is 杂货店, primarily because we buy our food there. Nowadays, we have 超市, 超级市场, supermarkets. But in those days, we had community markets. Going on, these days, neighborhood markets are few and far between because supermarkets can offer more items at greater savings. So this is just what I said. These days, nowadays, 现代, okay, neighborhood markets, 社区的这些这个小商店, okay, are few and far between. That's a nice way of saying 并不多, 很少, 并不多, 很少, okay, few and far between. Why? Because nowadays we have supermarkets. Supermarkets can offer more items at greater savings. So there are more things, more items, more things. 东西多 and greater savings. Why would there be greater savings? Greater savings is because the more items you have, of course, the cheaper they are. The cheaper they are. Going on. I often rode my bicycle to the 29th Street Market to buy things for my parents. So I rode my bicycle. Actually, I went up a hill and then down, almost all the way to the 29th Street Market. The only trouble is going home means that I have to go up, and then right at the top, I just go down to my house. So going there was easier than coming back. Okay, I often rode my bicycle to buy things for my parents. 为父母亲买东西. Go ahead. I gave Dad the groceries and the sales slip and the change. Okay, so I gave my dad the groceries, whatever I bought, the sales slip 那个单这个单子 and the change 还有剩下的钱 okay so I gave all of this to my father going on I had no way to siphon off money with which to buy candy for myself now siphon off simply means 我没有办法自己偷钱 okay to steal okay but siphon off has a completely different meaning okay it's usually used for 用一个水管就把水从一个容器到另外一个容器慢慢流下来 that's siphoning but in this context 在这个上下文 this simply means I had no way of taking money for myself well why would I want to take money for myself because I wanted to buy candy 我自己想买一些糖果 but I had no money of my own and it was not easy to steal my father's money go ahead since I had little money myself okay I can only drool when I passed the candies section 我只能够 drool okay drool means 流口水 drool okay when I passed the candy section 当我经过走过这个 candy section 有一个地方就是专门卖糖果了 okay so that's all I could do because well I had no money so that's the only thing I could do going on one day the urge to steal candy outweighed the risks of getting caught 有一天这个一种how do you say urge it's a desire to steal candy 偷一些糖果 outweighed 压过被抓的冒险 outweighed the risks of course a risk is what a risk is 冒险 of getting caught 被人家抓起来 okay so I visited the market 不是我爸爸派我去的 so I visited the market going on I had little money in my pocket but I carried a book in my hand 口袋即使我有一点点钱 I had a little money but just a little money in my pocket but I carried a book maybe it was a school book so in one hand see my idea was maybe I'd just put the candy in the book so go ahead Mr. Grant stood at the cash register as I went to the candy section. Mr. Grant stood at the candy section. At the cash register. Cash register is a 收款机. So when people are there and they're giving the money, he opens it up. It rings a bell. The old-fashioned ones, yoing, and the bell rang, and the door opened, and he took your money. You put it in there. And so he was standing there while I went to the candy section. Going on. I waited a long time trying to get up the nerve to hide some in my book. Okay, now, I waited a long time trying to get up enough nerve. In this case, nerve is bravery or 勇气. So I was saying, 要更加勇气, 要勇气. So I'm just sitting there saying, I'm sure that Mr. Grant saw this little boy there, and he said, I think something is happening. I'm sure. And because I wanted to hide it in my book, I decided to buy some candy. So I actually bought some candy. I bought some candy, probably the cheapest candy. So Mr. Grant wouldn't think I was stealing candy. 这个使 Mr. Grant 就不认为不知道我是真正的是偷糖果。So took a lot of work to steal. Going on. With wildly racing heart. 我的心脏蹦蹦跳. Really, really. My heart was really racing. 心跳跳得很快. I approached 靠近走近 the cash register 收款机 to pay for the candy. To pay 付这个 candy 的钱. Now, I must tell you right now that as I tell this story, I have a vivid memory of this. 我还是想得很清楚。哎呀, right now my heart is beating a little bit faster because I remember what it was like at that time. Going on. But Mr. Grant growled. 这个吼道. In other words, he spoke to me in a very low and very gruff voice, and he said, Sonny, what's that in the book? What's that in the book? With the shaking hands, 我的手发抖, I opened the book, 显出来, revealed the stolen candy, 被偷的这个糖果. Oh my. Going on. I was devastated. I was devastated. What does it mean to be devastated? Devastated, 非常难过. Why? Because there are many thoughts going through my mind. 事实上, I really didn't hear much of Mr. Grant's reprimand. 我没有听到 Mr. Grant's 很严肃 solemn 很严肃的这个 how do you say reprimand? 他是怪我们也是告我了 reprimand. He was not happy and I was scared. Going on. I only thought about the embarrassment and the disgrace of the situation. 我只能够想到 embarrassment, 丢脸也可以说这是 lose face, 不好意思也可以，很尴尬也可以 embarrassment and disgrace, 羞辱 of the 这个情况的这个羞辱。I don't know if there are other people in the store. Maybe there were other people in the store, but I don't remember if there were other people in the store. I really don't remember that. I only thought, go ahead. Another concern, 还有一个担心呢 was the possibility that Mr. Grant might tell my father, 有可能 Mr. Grant 会告诉我的爸爸。Whoa, that would be bad news. 真的是坏消息。一直到今天呢，当然已经将近这个57年，还不到，可能60年，已经60年，我还不知道我 Mr. Grant 有没有打电话给我爸爸。Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I was afraid. He knew who I was. He definitely knew who I was. Okay, going on. I didn't have a mother to tell my troubles to. Okay, I didn't have a mother to tell my troubles to. 因为我没有母亲而能够把我所有的问题没有办法跟他说了，因为 as you remember, my mother died when I was 11 years old, and so一般 what just happens, you know, a child when he has a problem, he comes to his mother and tells his mother, but I didn't have a mother to do that. So I went across the street and told my Aunt Martha, 我的阿姨是 Aunt Martha. And many tears were shed. 我真的是流眼泪很多，我哭得好伤心呢。Going on. She was a very kind woman. Okay, a very kind woman. 非常和蔼，也可以说非常she was just a nice person. As you probably remember in past lessons, she often did things for us because we didn't have a mother. And she listened patiently. 很有耐心的听我讲的话。Finally, she advised me that the pain and disgrace would pass away. 最后，她的建议是什么？她的建议就是说 ，the pain 这个痛苦 ，obviously 的痛苦 ，and the disgrace 这个羞辱 would go away. 慢慢的会过去。It was a very painful experience. Even now, I think of the pain that I experienced. 连现在，I feel 我自己感到很痛苦。那时候 that's nearly 60 years ago. True, the pain has diminished. Nice word. Diminished. Diminished means that the pain is less. Diminished. The pain is less now than it was. but the experience was never forgotten. That bad experience I have never forgotten. I learned a good lesson. 我所学的这个教训 you could say is 非常宝贵. It's very much of a treasure to me. It was good and it was bad. It was a bad thing. I did a bad thing. 我是做坏事. But the important thing is I learned a very important lesson. And I have never forgot the lesson. And you know why? Because I never again considered shoplifting. Never again 考虑要在这个商店扒手。So there you have it. I did learn some lessons. I did learn some lessons. We have all learned lessons. In fact, I'm sure that every single one of us here could tell stories of painful stories of how you learned to do the right thing. 当然我们还是要做对的事情. And so sometimes we learn painfully. You can write an email to us. 可以发一个电邮给我们 theoldprinciple@gmail.com. 我们的网站是www.theoldprinciple.org. Hey, I've enjoyed sharing with you another story. And if you'll bring a friend and join us next time, we'll also have another story. Until then, see you later.